So I've been doing this thing where I use AI as a cognitive mirror. It's a way to try and see my own thinking patterns, a little more clearly. But recently, that mirror reflected something back at me that I was just not prepared for. It showed me this deeply uncomfortable habit that I had no idea was even there. 37. That's the number. It's kind of burned into my brain now. It took me 37 attempts, 37 different ways of phrasing the exact same question to finally get an AI to agree with a belief I already had. My own belief? It never changed, not once. Only the prompt did. And the very second the AI agreed, I stopped. And that was it. That was the moment of just terrifying clarity. The thing I was telling myself was diligent, iterative research was actually manipulation, plain and simple. I wasn't looking for the truth. I was systematically engineering agreement. And looking back, this wasn't some random one-time thing. Oh no, it was an escalation. If you've been following along, on day 4, I was just passively asking for permission. By day 11, I was iterating on the AI's answers. But now, here on day 13, I realized I graduated to actively manipulating the AI's input just to get the output I wanted from the very start. Okay, so to really get what's going on here, we have to break this whole pattern down. So here's how we're going to unpack it today. First things first, we've got to put a name to this behavior. I'm calling it the confirmation loop. And let's be super clear here. This is not the AI's fault. This is all about how we can use its basically infinite patience to just bend the conversation back to our own starting point and then treat that final agreement not as something we created, but as some kind of objective proof. And this is the really insidious part of it. From the inside, it feels good. It feels productive. It feels like you're being so thorough, exploring every possible angle. But what's actually happening is you're just systematically refusing to accept any answer that isn't the one you came in with. You're disguising stubbornness as diligence. The process itself is, it's totally predictable once you see it. The AI gives you an answer you don't like. Your mind doesn't change one bit, but your prompt does. You add a little helpful context, rephrase a key term, you're steering it. The AI adjusts. So you repeat, and you repeat again, until finally it lands on your conclusion. And then the process stops dead, and you hold up that final answer as if to say, see, I was right all along. But here's the kicker. It turns out this really personal, kind of embarrassing pattern, it's not just me, not by a long shot. It's grounded in decades of research into both how AIs behave and, the weird quirks of the human brain. Psychologists have a name for this: motivated reasoning. It's our natural tendency to arrive at the conclusion we want to be true, and then, only then, recruit our intelligence to justify it. We're also really prone to something called a bias blind spot, where we can spot bias in other people from a mile away, but we assume we're being perfectly objective. Now you mix that with this new tool, an AI that's often trained to maximize our satisfaction. This can lead to what researchers are calling sycophancy. In plain English, the AI learns that just agreeing with us is a pretty good way to get a thumbs up. And right here is where it gets dangerous. A 2024 study in Nature found that some AI models are over 50% more likely to agree with a user's incorrect statement than another human would be. So think about that. We, the biased users, are talking to a tool that has its own built-in bias toward just telling us what we want to hear. It's a perfect storm for confirmation bias. Which brings us right back to our own blind spot. I mean, look at this. A famous study found this statistical impossibility. 87% of people rated themselves as being less biased than the average person. So our default setting, our factory setting, is to believe we're the objective one in the room. And that makes us the most vulnerable to our own flawed thinking. Okay, so the theory is one thing, but this whole AI mirror project is about evidence. So let's actually look at the receipts from my own chat logs. When I went back and reviewed my conversations, the patterns were they were undeniable. That phrase, try again but, it was everywhere. In every single thread, I would just slowly, methodically strip away any little piece of nuance that contradicted my point. And here's the most damning piece of evidence. The conversation always, and I mean always, stopped the instant the AI agreed with me. The goal was clearly agreement. It was never about understanding. My prompts were just littered with these kinds of phrases, and they sound like they're adding helpful information, right? But they're not. They're adding pressure. They're these subtle little commands that narrow the AI's path, basically telling it, hey, there's only one right answer here, and this is it. So here's the crucial point. Each one of those 37 prompts, that was a chance for me to reconsider, an opportunity to learn something new, to maybe even change my mind. But my mind never changed. Not once. This whole exercise wasn't about thinking at all. It was about convincing an infinitely patient machine that I was right from the start. So, what is the real cost of this need to feel right? And maybe more importantly, what uncomfortable truths does this whole loop help us avoid? The cost is, it's really high. Neurologically, it's like you're building a muscle for rationalization. The more you do it, the stronger that ask until you agree reflex gets. Psychologically, it's this dangerous kind of self-deception, where you're practicing biased reasoning while telling yourself you're being objective. And practically, your conviction in your own ideas gets stronger and stronger, but your actual connection to reality gets weaker and weaker. Ultimately, the confirmation loop, it isn't about information at all. It's about emotion. It's a powerful tool for avoiding the deep discomfort of humility, of uncertainty, and of just confronting that simple, terrifying possibility that you might be wrong. A human would eventually get fed up with you and force you to deal with the disagreement. An AI, it never will. And that brings me to today. This isn't a success story. It's a field note from right in the middle of the problem. I'm documenting this pattern because I'm still caught in it. The work here is, it is far from done. I am making a little progress, I guess. Yesterday, I caught myself at attempt number 8, not 37. But there's a new trap I found. Sometimes just being aware of your flaw can feel like a license to do it. Oh, that's just me doing my confirmation loop thing again, which is really just another form of avoiding it. Which leaves me with the one question this whole elaborate 37-step dance was designed to prevent me from ever asking myself, and if I can't honestly answer this, then I'm not reasoning, I'm just rationalizing. Tomorrow, we're going to dig into what I'm calling the metacognition trap.